State of Play, another day, another season of campaigns. And today we are doing something that we haven't done in a long while. When we pitch the two candidates together and assess their campaigns. And I'm sure many of you are looking at the flyer and wondering, maybe we're going to predict who's going to win the elections. No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. There's a lot we can do on State of Play, but we don't have the capacity yet to predict who wins elections. Even polls get it wrong sometimes, and so we don't want to go there.
And we know you too, So even if you are not predicted, you will say we are predicted.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
we don't.
Exactly. But you definitely saw on the promotion that we put out, the flyer that we put out, that we're talking about the promising spree. So a lot of them are promising, in fact, not the two main candidates, John Mahama and Bawumia. They've been promising quite a lot. So who is winning the promising race? And whilst you assess that in terms of the shared numbers that have been put out, but you also assess it in terms of the believability, the credibility of the promises that they are putting out. Which of these promises is really doable? Which ones are simply ones that you can just say, as for this one, it's just been said for campaign, purposes, the costing, etc. You have to ask all these questions. And Raymond, the strategies that both sides are adopting is very, very similar. If you've noticed, as far as the campaign is concerned, you have John Mahama, who is doing targeted groups. Targeted groups.
Yeah.
You have
meetings with specific groups. Yeah.
Specific groups. Then you have Bawumia, who is doing the same. They're all doing the same. So they are not doing the big rallies. They're not doing mass media campaigns and adverts. Even door to door, Bawumia only is on record to have done that in a true sense of that particular concept when he went to his home region and went to a few homes. But mainly it's been meeting identifiable groups.
Yeah, like youth forums,
the AGIs, the clergy, the chiefs,
Guta.
Yes.
Then they will specifically meet sometimes be subsets within the bigger grouping.
With a bigger grouping.
Yeah.
And sort of sell
TUC, for example.
TUC, yes. And then sell your message. So tailor-made messages is what we are seeing from the two candidates, John Mahama and Bawumia. While they do this, though, we've opened a promise tracker. A promise tracker. And your research team, Raymond is the head of the research desk, and they've been doing this. Yesterday, I used part of that for PM Express. And when we decided to count, the numbers are quite astonishing, right?
Yes.
And when it comes to who wins that race, right now, Bawumia is in the lead when it comes to the sheer number of promises.
Yes.
Sheer number of promises.
Gargantuan list.
So Bawumia so far has 52 promises. Mahama has 43 promises.
Yeah.
Right? But considering that Mahama started his campaign long before Bawumia joined, you would see where the
difficulty is.
I mean, I think if for a second, let me try and rationalize why Bawumia is putting a lot of campaign promises. I think there's a fair sense that in this particular elections, he's the underdog. Is he not? I mean, not in resource terms, ability to command the resources. That is not an underdog. But in the sense of the historical our knowledge of what the history says.
The trends.
Yeah, the trend, the historical trend.
Every 8 years.
Exactly.
We change, first and foremost. Every 8th year, parties tend to lose the elections with some percentage of fall or around that particular end. Yeah. John Mahama tried in 2016 to convince people that it is my second term, not the NDC's 8th year.
And he still lost the election.
He still lost the election. I think it is ingrained in the thinking of some people, or majority of the people in this republic, that after 8 years,
you have to go.
You have to go.
And then you put in that to the economy.
Oh yeah, I'm even coming to that.
Okay.
That's already established. And you see, the numbers speak for it. So you win massively in your first election. Example 2016. In 2020, you win with a lower margin. which is also what has happened. By the next time you are contesting the next election, the tables will turn, or the first round, there will be a runoff. You get the point.
Yeah.
So historically, that has been a trend. It is interesting how Bawumia fits in, because some expect that the MPP would have to leave office after 8 years.
Right.
That's why there's a conversation of breaking the 8, an admission that there's some history around 8 that ought to be broken for him to be in. Now, you also mentioned the economy part. I think the MPP has had an extremely difficult time. And people, even if they just want to be not so rational, cannot ignore the economy in their voting.
Yeah.
So even if it's not a rational choice theory that is being used in determining how people vote, the economy always plays one role or the other, because nobody wants declining standards of living. Nobody wants that. This government has particularly faced a tall order since 2020. It's been one problem or the other, compounding, sometimes created, sometimes out of their control, and it keeps cascading. Mm-hmm. We have been through a financial sector reform, which just when we appear to have been getting to the end of the tunnel, then COVID and his brothers came in. Then we went to domestic debt exchange, big time. Big time. Now, if you thought financial sector reform had difficulties or affected people, the senior brother was the domestic debt exchange. Mm-hmm. First, even before that, you know the mark-to-market business happening in between. You remember that conversation? Yep. Oh, it has affected, it has not affected. It all happened. Then we smoothly went through into domestic debt exchange. Now, as we speak, anybody who wins election 2025 has no honeymoon. So sometimes when I even hear the promises, I'm wondering if they are looking to some other resource hidden somewhere that we would not know about. Mm. Because there's no guarantee by 2025, which is perhaps another year in the IMF program.
Yeah, well,
and I suspect there will be an extension along the line.
What is happening with both of them is seek ye first the political kingdom.
Yes.
It is the end justifying the means. You get there first, and then you worry about 2025.
But that's actually how I determine the honesty of the claims they are making. Because some of the things they are telling us today, you would need to be extra confident that you'll get money like that kind of Eurobond money to be able to deliver on them. You get the point? Mm-hmm. You need to know that something good is coming. But we know that your payments, the receipts you've been putting on hold for God knows how long, you are commencing some of the payments in 2025 going forward, which means you lose a lot more money in the process, all the things you have to do it. Then why are we in a mood to pile on promises? Even though John Dramani Mahama has said that, oh, he knows the situation, he will not take people for granted, but he's still listing a lot of promises. I hope you get the point. So I am not sure whether we are being realistic or we are just in an election mood, so pile it on. I thought the last few years I taught politicians in Ghana that you be truthful to the people. You engage them on the reality, what you can do and what you cannot do. Mm. But I do not get that impression. I see sometimes the list they are piling up. I say, see, you know that your resources are limited, right? You know that even the boring, you have so many difficulties in that space that nobody expects you to go to the international commercial markets next year. And this is the next year that you are supposed to start your run in the country. So maybe your future is that in the 4 years, the last year of the 4 year, some bright hope or something wonderful would happen. Even if, see, and people mention this IMF money, like IMF is giving us money that we got in the first quarter of every year, over 3 years. Nobody can be excited by that. I mean, it's Eurobond 1 year. We are no, not even one whole year. Sometimes beginning of the year, the one that we used to sustain the city small. IMF is giving us over 3 years. I bet 300 or 600 million.
3 billion.
Yes, 3 billion.
And then on top of that, you also get a cocoa syndication loan.
That will come on sustained.
You know. So
nobody, in fact, we are more likely to have done more in the last few years than we will do in the future. And yet, our people are so, in fact, we even promised people we cancel taxes. Yeah. For the E-levy, you said we'll cancel it, right?
Yeah, default promise.
Yeah. The E-levy, you said we'll cancel it.
They will reduce.
Yes. Some reforms. Oh, we will do. Why are you going to get the money to fill in that hole?
It's actually interesting you make that point because all of them are actually promising tax cuts.
I can't understand that.
Yesterday, I asked Miracles, so what is Bawumia's flagship policy proposal for the election year? And he says tax amnesty. So let's put it in context. In 2016, Nanado's flagship policy proposal for the election was free SHS. It was very tangible. For John Mahama, the flagship policy proposal this year is 24-hour economy.
Yeah.
Right. For Bawumia, it is tax amnesty. In other words, he is going to forgive people
who have not paid tax.
In
times past.
And give them a fresh slate. Exactly.
Clear all your sins and wrongs.
And they start afresh.
Do you know why I have a difficult?
That is less money
coming to your state, yes.
Yes, less revenue. And then
if I hear that today, Evans, and I'm even paying tax, it will be, I don't know how they are going to fine-tune their policy, and I've not heard the detail of it. It will be sensible to default. I hope you get my point. Which will also reduce the number of people already complying today. Because nobody in a country like Ghana, unless God touches your heart, is willing or interested in paying taxes. You get what I'm trying to say? Assuming big companies like MTN decides that, we will get amnesty. We are all waiting for amnesty. We are all going to clean the slate. This republic will suffer immensely. You get my point?
Yeah.
So I know maybe they'll flesh it out differently because sometimes the things they say it in a slogan manner. Then when they flesh it out, you see that the fine details, not many would actually be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But I'm still worried about we not having a conversation where people come to the table with realistic things that can happen within the 4 years or so.
On the tax cuts, though, John Mahama also had similar proposals. For example, reducing the import duty at the ports, right?
He's had cost to list them. It was one of the Guta or TUC. He did a listing with them,
Yes. He's also talked about taxes on petroleum products that he's going to tax.
Also abolished the payment of ex gratia.
Exactly. I mean, so that's good. I mean, the ex gratia one will bring money into our coffers. Like, yeah, it will. I mean, the ex gratia, if you're not giving ex gratia away, it's money you're saving. So that for me is great. We are talking about the similarity in the irony between the dire financial straits we'll be in 2025, as in our revenues and beyond. And their promise to actually cut the revenues that we
already have
to make up for the shortfalls we'll have in our ability to go to the
the revenues that are not enough.
Yes. In the shortfall we'll have in our inability to go to the market to borrow.
Yes. Plus, they will even see the funny part. We will pay more next year.
Yes, of course.
We will have less revenue available to us. You have now increasing your promises. You do not.
You are not only so the promises come with cost.
Yes.
So you were saying that this is what they are telling us. We are going to increase our cost burden, our expenditure, while reducing taxes.
This one here. It just. That's
not the eye promising.
It is movie starting. I mean, see. So
they have to do magic.
Yeah, when I think through it, I think there's not a lot of honesty in that.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you are deceiving a grouping that do not know the reality on the ground. Yeah. And I was saying it this morning. I think it's the difficulties they don't want to do. The difficult thing here is saying that this is our reality. In 2011, in the Republic of Ghana, there was a fight over whether or not we should start exploring Eurobonds. There was a certain advisory committee, and some very powerful old man stood there and spoke that the most irresponsible thing to do as a human being is to live beyond your means. When he said that was his first words. Others were disagreeing. He said, no country, no human being should be in a hurry to grab every available resource when you know you'll pay in the future, when you do not have a reasonable expectation of money within that space. Let's fast track to where we are today. Eurobonds have become a headache on us. We don't know how to pay. We are struggling to deal with them. We have people who are, if you do an assessment, they are becoming problems for us. We will start making other payments we've been giving holidays to put on hold. Nobody can convince me that the best way out is still finding the same borrowing sources. What they are unable to think deeply about, which they are not even discussing, is how are we going to run Ghana with limited resources without having to incur more debt going into the future? And how are we going to be more productive as a people so that we can tax those resources and get the money to do what we need to do? Those conversations, they are skirting around that. They know that business like free bits. Yes. So they're telling them they'll give them that. They're not telling them the truth in the face, that without you paying more, we can run the country.
Which is really bottom line.
Yes. They are not having those conversations. So when they meet them, they are doing, oh yes. Even Bawumia is isolating himself from higher taxes. He's still vice president, so he still chairs the economic management team. But he can isolate himself from me because it's not a very convenient way to tell businesses. But I want to hear the honesty in them. That listen, even though we are here, these are the ingenious ways we'll find to make sure that we will not affect your productivity and yet still tax this and that and be on the table. I want to know that if we remove the e-levy, if be it even 0.5 of our revenue, this is how you are going to plug the whole of 0.5.
Plug the whole.
Yes, see, but I'm not hearing those conversations. I want to hear that we will have a conversation about what to do with free SHS and all the list of freebies that we poorly distribute in this country. I recall in 2010, there was a study about the social intervention programs. If you take LEAP and about 2 others, the rest, they were all terrible programs. They were targeting the wrong people. They were being abused. They were basically enriching people who should not be the targets of it. But we didn't cancel all of them. It was a very wonderful document prepared by the World Bank, but we just pushed it under one bed and moved on with our lives. In fact, I think what we worked on was the fuel subsidy. You know, we used to do that in the subsidy. There were 200 million. They say that some poor people are sitting in some corner. They will do fuel marking. Now, these people are going to get and all of that. I am not hearing those creative ideas of raising money and not necessarily taxing a lot of people. I'm hearing the things that will make people happy. They are playing to the gallery. They are saying, oh, I will reduce it.
Meanwhile,
and people are really cheering them on.
Meanwhile, next year will will be worse economically than this year.
In fact,
we haven't seen the worst of the economic crisis.
That's true.
Because first of all,
and we are not doomsayers, so it's a reality on the ground.
Because a lot of our Euro bonds will be due next year.
Yes.
Secondly, we have frozen our Euro bonds interest service.
Yes.
That will come into play very quickly after. So that is an additional burden. And then
today, you tell me where we have set our money to go and pay those monies.
Exactly. We don't have it. Part of the reason why the cedi is falling, but not falling as fast as it should, right? Yeah. Because once we start paying the Euro bonds,
that means every dollar is going out.
It's going to go. So you can expect additional pressure. And so that is going to put tremendous pressure on the cedi already next year. So we are saying that we are really facing catastrophic economic consequences in 2025. And here you have the 2 leading candidates all promising for that Christmas land of honey and milk that it will just pour on your tongue next year. I said there will be no consequence. The truth
and they're not having honest conversations with us. They're not even telling us that, see, this is not possible under the circumstance.
But you see, who do you really blame then? Also consider what we said at the beginning.
Yeah.
That they haven't gone to mass market yet. When I say mass market, they are not selling their messages yet to the bigger population per se directly. Of course, we cover it, so we'll report it.
They are getting the expert groups.
Exactly. So they are delivering these targeted messages to these groups. You expect these groups to know better.
Way better.
Right? So when the man comes to you and says, Guta, I am going to do whatever I have to do at the pause to reduce import duties down significantly, everybody agrees it is
high.
It's high. We all agree. But how do you... Okay, but why not doing it now if it's possible? It's the first question for me. I have to ask about it.
The man said his vision is what he shared with you. He said, start from now.
It's a fair question. That's why you don't do that.
No, it's a fair question, but I don't think the answer is a very simple one.
Yeah, I mean, but again, let's go back. You see, the beauty of this year's election, we have another candidate in John Mahama, who also been president before.
Yes. Same
question applies to him too. Okay, so you were president for 4 years substantively, and the better part, of the unexpired time of
president, yes,
right. So the ports question was still an issue at the time. So what do you do about it? And then in these meetings, they've met AGI, and they're promising them tax. I will cut tax. I mean, I think the thing that Bawumia said that it got a lot of people sort of raise a few eyebrows around the GRA matter and that the GRA was harassing businesses.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and GRA workers, not even the big boys at the top, because you can't go and tell the vice president that. The workers took him on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was strange. This GRA is under the finance ministry. Finance ministry sits in the economic management team.
Yeah.
If the vice president had advice and knew this for God knows how long, the best way to have dealt with it is to talk to your member that what's happening there. Why are we not streamlining this or that? But he goes on the platform, and this is not like the GRA is not complying with the law. Say they are harassing people. He was seeking to be with the ordinary person and not with the tax collector, who's not a very famous person in the Republic or any country at all. Yeah. He was seeking to isolate himself from the problem and identify with the people so that it is possible to see Bawumia as a solution. Because I've not heard it before, frankly, that any vice president has gone to say that GRA stop harassing businesses. I've not heard it before. Because every day we give them targets. We expect them to deliver on it. In fact, our complaint is that they are not delivering sometimes on the targets. And that when they deliver on it, we are happy about that. So exactly what are you asking them to do? Don't bring in the money. Don't do what you are doing to bring in the money. Reduce the targets so that when we don't get the money to meet our current expenditure, why are we going to borrow the money to fill in the gap?
So I find that interesting. And they both gentlemen need to be asked hard questions.
I agree.
And in these meetings, I expect that.
Maybe they are asking, but we are not hearing. Maybe. Because it sounds very strange.
But we send reporters there.
And they report what's happening there.
Yeah, and I don't get a sense.
Beyond the clapping for and the excitement.
Because afterwards, when you see the interviews that I've done with the leadership of, say, the various groups.
Yeah, I hear we are excited, we are happy, he understands us, and all of that.
Exactly. You don't hear them raise these critical questions and say, but in 2025, when you say you're going to do all this for me, that in essence is going to reduce our revenue base for this country. At the time we are going to face unprecedented economic challenges.
What would you let go?
Exactly. What is the alternative? How are you plugging those holes that you're going to create for us? How are you going to raise those additional revenue that you need to? Those questions I haven't asked.
Do you have extra oil wells available?
I haven't asked.
Have you actually recruited more gold finds?
Actually saying that your volumes, oil volumes,
it's going to go down. I mean, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that supports more promises, cutting taxes, and also except they have done their mathematics in a very proper way, and they know that these are, in the term that we put to it, is nuisance taxes. A tax is progressive when it's properly targeted, when it's yielding the results and bringing the right kind of money. If the tax is not progressive, sometimes it's better to axe it. And the impact it's having on the tax system and the country as a whole might be problematic. Except these are the things that they are giving us. But I hear more than just that. I hear, we will reduce the taxes. We will do a lot more. We will make it comfortable. We will make our taxes lower than Togo or which West African countries. And that is why, what kind of comparison are you doing here?
And that is why you see a lot of similarities between John Mahama and in their promises. I mean, there are a few of them. Reduction in the size of government is one thing. For me, that's good.
In fact, they agree.
That's good because that will cut some expenditure. So you make some savings there.
I agree too. So one says I'll appoint no more than 60 ministers. That's John Dramani Mahama.
Yeah, and the one comes and says, well, I mean 50. I'll do 50,
60. I mean,
the ex-gratia one will also save us some money.
Yeah.
And then enforcement of the prudent management of the public finances. All of them have, to e-levy to abolish. Again, that we've talked about.
And they'll both fight corruption.
Both of them will fight corruption, which is always an issue in an election year. Address affordable housing issues. So they're going to find money to build affordable housing. Involve traditional leaders in granting mining. Well, that one. Yesterday I had one from Miracles about a promise to pay divisional chiefs monthly allowances. And again, that's a question you're adding on to the.
So John Mahama, for example, said he will build 6 universities in the new regions.
With what money?
Yeah. I go to borrow to do that.
You have 4 years.
You have 4 years.
With 6 universities in 4 years.
In 4 years.
Is that realistic?
For each of the regions.
How realistic is that?
It would take magic. Unless somebody is dashing as a university.
Yeah.
Unless we decide that we are not doing anything else, but we are going to put the money into these projects, or we'll start a living.
6 universities.
Or we'll do it like we did it, what do they call it? FIAPRI, the Sunyani one. An already existing school, we say we are upgrading it into a university. We will like naming things. We'll just change the name then. Unless we do something like that. But a realistic building of, let's say, a mini Legon,
From scratch.
This
From bare land to proper
UGMC is like 250 million.
Yeah, where are you going to get the money?
Why are you going to get?
They're not doing 1, 2. They're doing 6 in 4 years. I mean, these questions.
And the expectation is that you would, whichever government will come into power, will have no option than to complete this agenda 111 because you can't let the projects. Yes.
But then don't be surprised when they are abandoned.
Oh, come on.
Oh, but you know what happens in this.
No, I know, but
even when it's finished.
But
even when they finish.
That's true. That's true. When it's
let more we hasn't finished, but you put money into it.
I saw a picture of a gentleman who used to be the one, UGMC, Reginald Sechi Brown. He used to hold a placard every time standing there and say, "Come and commission this project." This is 2017, 2018 there. He used to go around and he was somehow he was arrested also.
Yes,
you remember the yes.
Yes.
You ask yourself,
yeah, they did phase 1 and they came to
so
the was that they did some generator. That was.
If we didn't have UGMC during the COVID time,
a lot of the ministers would have
the big people in this republic, where would they have gone to?
Yeah.
So it's a big issue, but I think maybe, and again, maybe. See, that's why sometimes our politics is too competitive. We should have collaborative politics. We should put Ghana first. These political parties, they should understand that nobody is forcing them to outdo each other when it comes to promises. In fact, sometimes the Ghanaian can discern that this one there is just for votes. But what is the impact of just listing promises when you know deep within your heart that this is not a realistic one? What's the impact of pretending that you can do more than what you are promising the people?
Yeah.
And going around and see, these are the big ones. So I'll tell you, virtually every community they'll go to.
They'll say exactly. Exactly.
A chief will receive one promise, some market women will receive their promise. Every grouping will have a new promise. Then when they come into power, now they are not sure what they said. You remember the President Akufo-Addo and the is it Harbour or the airport, the central region one. Yes. See, it was, it was. See, but we cannot continue as business as usual. Yeah. And I'm insisting that the things I want to hear them talk about, how are you going to ensure more productivity and still maintain the current inflows that you're having and still make sure business don't collapse and attract more businesses into the country and still pay your debt and still make sure that our city is performing well and still make sure that inflation is curtailed within the single digit that mostly they promise. These things, doing that together, not making one suffer at the expense of the other. How are you going to do that?
That's what they haven't quite addressed.
And they have not put it together in a comprehensive way. Maybe they have been tackling...
I am looking forward to the manifestos.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the manifestos.
But we are 6 months to an election.
Yes.
The document that is supposed to be a social contract is not even out.
Oh, but no, the manifesto.
No, that's my problem with them.
You'll launch in October.
So how many months for review?
But so that you don't have enough time to...
But how is that a social contract fairness to me? If I've not considered the contract, how can I be a part of this contract?
They will win anyway. Somebody will win, somebody will lose. They know that.
I am also worried that it's going to be business as usual.
Yes, but that is the problem with that. And that is why I wanted to spend 1 minute. That's why I was talking about the groups they are meeting.
Yeah.
Because they have a responsibility to hold their feet to the fire when they come making the promises.
That's true.
If you take it beyond that, you have a responsibility too. When they come into your community to tell you these fantastic promises, you have to hold their feet to the fire. You say, oh yeah, media people, what should do? We are asking the questions here.
Yeah.
And I want to check.
And there's a limit. In fact, in all fairness, there's a limit. Me, I cannot compel a candidate to come and sit before me.
No.
It is at their will.
But they will come and beg
yes,
you. Yes,
because you there.
Pound fufu for you.
Yeah, watch things for you.
Watch for you.
So you see, it's not that easy. So you have bigger, better ability to control what they do, because the evidence has been that if we don't control it now, when they get into power, it's very difficult to control them. In fact, it is when they want power that the negotiations can be made at the highest level. I have consistently referenced this thing about Jamaica.
Yeah.
When we were doing domestic debt exchange, and the businesses said, listen, government, come, let's sit on the same table. What is the way forward? We cannot allow you to continue in this way or that way. So let's chart a path together. Today, I've not seen it. Maybe because you are ever distinguished, Evans Mensah, you are privy to these meetings happening where businesses sat down government and said, let's chart a path together that we will never get to domestic debt exchange again. Did you hear of any such meeting? I don't have any. Today, there are no guarantees that we'll not go back to the IMF.
Absolutely.
Today, there are no guarantees that there won't be another domestic debt exchange happening in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, so these are the things that if you cannot do the big things, revolutionary things, these are the small things that nobody expects to be repeated.
Yeah.
So that everybody in every corner is affected. But I'm not hearing conversations. Even me, I was expecting them to come and stand on the same platform. If 5 or 20 presidential candidates pledge, I promise on my honor to not go to the IMF again. I promise on my honor to not do domestic debt exchange again. I mean, at least so that we can hold them to something and insist that these things are things of the past and it will never happen.
Well, listen, we have to end it here. We'll return next week for another conversation. In the meantime, between now and then, they'll be coming to your neighborhoods. When they come, ask them the questions. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day.